So tonight we are going to be reading 5 ghost stories that will scare the life out of you. This is on a website from the UK. I have not read these stories before, but I'm excited to go into them. So, like I was kind of saying earlier, I like to experiment on the episodes I do myself, kind of do things that I wouldn't normally do with other co-hosts, although I'm not opposed to doing them with other co-hosts. And I'm going to go over these stories, react to them, review them, and hopefully they will give you some entertainment, maybe fright before you go to bed tonight. I don't know. But I'm excited to dive into these stories. And after the second or third one, I will take a little bit of an intermission because I am just remembering something super exciting on the horizon that all of you Evil and Eerie fanatics, I think, will kind of find exciting. So let's jump right in. All right. Number 1 is called The Puppy in the Basement. And these are short stories, by the way. This short ghost story, found on Reddit, is super, which is italicized, creepy. Mommy told me never to go into the basement, but I wanted to see what was making that noise. It kind of sounded like a puppy, and I wanted to see a puppy. So I opened the basement door and tiptoed down a bit. I didn't see a puppy. And then Mommy yanked me out of the basement and yelled at me. Mommy had never yelled at me before. And it made me sad, and I cried. Then Mommy told me never to go into the basement again, and she gave me a cookie. That made me feel better, so I didn't ask her why the boy in the basement was making noises like a puppy, or why he had no hands or feet. Okay. That is super creepy. It's always the stories and stuff told by children that are just the creepiest, because they have the innocent minds, and they won't hold back. That's the thing. It's like a common adage, if you will, is that kids are more trustworthy than adults, which, I mean, you wouldn't automatically think about because, kids lie and stuff like that, but it's fairly obvious to tell when a child is lying. When you're an adult, you can get pretty good at lying. So with that being said, kids are actually the more trustworthy, I would say, out of the two, or you're going to get a more reliable story from a kid in a sense, because they don't know how to report anything but what they see. And so, I don't know, I feel like if this story were in the point of view of an adult, it might not be as believable in a sense. But I mean, we're getting this from a child who's observing it first person, and that's always what, just like, it always makes it creepier when it's a kid. Like, that's why Children of the Corn is one of the creepiest movies out there, because it's a bunch of murderous children. Great movie, by the way. Check it out if you haven't already. And it's like, that's why kids are like the focal point of a lot of paranormal stuff, like, Poltergeist and other movies, because they're just the, an exorcist. I mean, that's why it's, Linda Blair is, a child, like a teen when she was in the movie. So I'm fairly positive I mentioned this on the show previously, but in case I didn't, I do have a friend of a friend, but I do know the friend of the friend. I'm just not as close with them, but I do know them fairly well. And I heard this from my friend that I am close with, because he is very close with the family, that I suppose one time when said kid was 2 or 3, he went up to his parents and said, "I'm glad I chose you," or something creepy like that. And it's like, kids really do say the creepiest things. Like when people say that kids are the scariest of all, they aren't exaggerating. Like they are. They really, you can't get creepier than a 2-year-old child saying that. Or like, even worse when they remember their past life, like they claim to be reincarnations, because that's just horrifying. And it's not like are reincarnations legitimate? I don't know. How would any of us know? I've never had, to my knowledge, I've never, said anything like that. Maybe I should ask my parents. But but I don't know. I'd have to, in a couple of minutes when I get into my weekend plans, which I think are going to be really interesting to you guys, I can maybe connect into that. But I don't know. I found that super creepy. I've yet to meet anybody who's remembered anything about a past life. But, hopefully I come across that one day. Hopefully it's not my own children, because that would freak me out. I would run for the hills. Let's just say that. So we will jump into the second story. This one is called Nunchucks. Michelle Frolic Young had a strange experience with her 2-year-old daughter, submitted to Movie Pilot. When my daughter was 2, I found her twirling paper towel tubes, tied with twine, in the air. I asked her what she was doing. She said she was practicing her nunchucks. I was very confused, as she'd have no way of knowing what they were. I asked her what she meant, and she said that Adam had told her how to make them, and showed her each night how to use them. She went on to say that Adam told her to practice, because she may need to know how to defend herself someday. I almost freaked out, but asked her what Adam looked like. Sorry, I said that a little bit weird. She said he was tall. She said he was tall, blonde, and had blue eyes. She said, "Mommy, you know how he looks. You know him. He died of a headache." I had to leave the room. You see, 4 months before she was born, my tall, blonde, blue-eyed, martial arts pro friend had died of a brain aneurysm at the age of 27. She has not spoken of him since that day. So I'm not sure if I scared her with my reaction or if she had completed her lessons. I'm like, what noise was that? I'm getting like goosebumps a little bit. That one was creepy. Like I said, kids, like that is a perfect example. I promise I didn't read these before. That is a perfect example of children, even though that's not reincarnation, children knowing stuff they would have no way of knowing. No way of knowing. And I guess he was teaching her how to do martial arts. Not creepy at all. I would have been like, Adam, cut that out. Cut that out. I guess it could be worse, though. It could be somebody she didn't like. It could have been somebody she didn't like, or, someone she didn't know. That would have been creepy. At least it was a friend of hers. And then, like, oh my god, the headache, brain aneurysm part. And it's like, this is, to my knowledge, I mean, they're making it seem like this is a legitimate thing that happened. So it's not even like this is a story. Because I was going to say, I mean, I have the credentials to say this, so before any of you get on my ass, I was going to say, is that really a story? But I don't know, because I think the first one, I was an English major. It was more story presentation material, we'll just say. But that sounds like a legitimate experience, which, I mean, it almost seems like by the phrasing it is, so I can't judge it along the same lines of being a story. But it definitely caused a reaction. So the narration is good. And the age of 27 just just sparked in my head because of the 27 Club. And I mean, I know a lot of you have to know what the 27 Club is. If you don't, we are definitely going to cover it on an episode. But the 27 Club is basically a lot of musicians. I don't know if actors are roped into that. I think it's just musicians. Correct me if I'm wrong, somebody. But a lot of musicians famously died and continue to die, because I think the most recent one might have been Amy Winehouse at the age of 27. So they call them the 27 Club. And it's a very spooky theory. There were a lot of artists that were in it. I'm pretty sure Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. Who else would have been a part of that club? There were definitely Kurt Cobain, I think, might have been in that group. There were a lot of people. There are quite a few people in the 27 Club, and I know I'm missing some. And actually, I'm going to look at them now because I'm curious. And there's more to the theory too. It's not just it's not just the fact that they all died at 27. I think there's something else that people like to link it to. Jim Morrison was another one, singer of The Doors. I forgot about him. He was a part of that. All right, identified members. This is definitely going to be an episode because there's another conspiracy theory that ties all of their deaths together. It's really weird. Anyone else famous? I'm seeing a lot of people, but I'm not recognizing who they are. Dang, there are a lot of people in this club. Holy cow. There are a lot of people. I'm not sure if... I was going to say Tupac, but I don't think he's in that. I don't think they count him as one. But the big ones are Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, Amy Winehouse, and Jim Morrison. Was he? No, he was 25. Tupac when he died, if he's dead. Good, everybody's saying he's still alive. That's the joke, the inside joke. Not the inside, the running gag. It's not an inside joke. I don't know why I said that. That's the big conspiracy theory. I don't know why I said joke or running gag either. That's the conspiracy theory. That is the correct phrasing. But yeah, stay tuned for an episode on the 27th Club. Episode 3. There's someone under the bed. Oh boy. Sometimes the very short ghost stories are the best. And this tale from Reddit via BuzzFeed tells the story of a father putting his young son to bed. I begin tucking him into bed. Best time to hiccup. I begin tucking him into bed, and he tells me, "Daddy, check for monsters under my bed." I look underneath for his amusement and see him, another him, under the bed, staring back at me, quivering and whispering, "Daddy, there's somebody on my bed." Holy shit. That's a new one. I was thinking that was going to end up like the, almost like the Scary Stories tale, where the girl has the dog that usually sleeps next to her, and he licks her hand, but the dog, it's not the dog, it's some guy. I thought was where that was going. Or another one where the monster pulls the father underneath the bed. I feel like that was the story somewhere. But that is quite the dilemma, because it's which one is my real son? Then you're taking a gamble. There was something there was a movie. Was it a movie or a TV show where it was there was somebody had to pick, there was a clone of somebody. I really wish I knew what it was so I can reference it. And the person had to decipher which one was the real. If anybody knows what TV show or movie that's been in, I'm sure it's been more than one. And there was just one thing that was tipping off, I don't know, was it it definitely happened in the Vampire Diaries at some point, but I don't think that's what I'm thinking of, because they all had doppelgangers in the Vampire Diaries. But let's just take the Vampire Diaries for example, okay? There might have been a scene where what were Nina Dobrev's characters' names? Elena and Catherine? Elena and Catherine, that sounds right. Were like in the same scene. And, you know, Damon, for example, you know, didn't know which one was the real Elena. I feel like that happened in the Vampire Diaries. I don't know though. Like that's a toughie. Like how do you know which one is which? You know. God, if that ever happened to me, I feel like I'd pick the wrong person. I really would. I really would. Knowing my luck, I feel like I'd pick the wrong person. It wouldn't be good. Ha! That would not be good. But thankfully, that can't legitimately happen yet. It will one day. With everything that they're doing now, I'm sure they'll be able to do it at some point. So, oh my lord, this one's longer. All right, well, before we go into number 4, I think now is a good time to take a little intermission and tell you about my weekend plans because I'm super duper excited about this. And so, a couple of weeks ago, I know I mentioned when I did my first solo episode that I had a friend who was a psychic / medium. And she, although I've never had a conversation in person about this topic with her, I have heard from one of our mutual friends that they have, and she's seen it all. Like, she has a lot of interesting stories. And although I've never had these conversations with her, I know her. I've known her for over 10 years, you know. I know her very well, and I'm going to see her for the first time in a couple of years this weekend. And I am going to try my hardest to either get her on the show or get stories from her to share, because she's the stuff that she's gone through that I've heard about, and I've only heard a couple of stories, are just incredible. Really eerie. Really, really, really eerie stuff. She's the real deal because many people that I know have corroborated her stories, and she's a very trustworthy source, and I'm super excited to see her. And you know how like most like psychics or mediums are very gypsy-esque. I almost want to say like they're almost weird. My friend is nothing like that. She's very personable, very like you would never think, like fun. You know, she's very like, not to insult any other psychics or mediums, but she's really normal. Like they're almost like psychics and mediums are normally kind of creepy, but my friend is not creepy at all. Like she's really cool. That's why I want to get her on the show. You'll all love her. Or get her stories. So I'm not going to promise anything yet because I know some of them are, I feel like, borderline traumatic for her, but maybe some of the milder ones. And I think it'd be, and she has her own business, psychic business. If I ever go to anybody to get, you know, my future predicted, it will be her because I fully trust her. And I think you guys are going to love her or love her stories depending on what I can get. So bear with me, but I am really hoping that we can get her on as a regular because I think she would be a perfect candidate for the show. But anyway, let's jump back into number 4. This one is called The Chair. This short tale starts benignly enough with a friendly seeming ghost playing with children. But when you learn the origins of the ghost and just why the ghost is moving the object around the room, it quickly gets a lot creepier. When my sister Betsy and I were kids, our family lived for a while in a charming old farmhouse. We loved exploring its dusty corners and climbing the apple tree in the backyard. But our favorite thing was the ghost. We called her Mother, because she seemed so kind and nurturing. Some mornings, Betsy and I would wake up, and on each of our nightstands, we'd find a cup that hadn't been there the night before. Mother had left them there, worried that we'd get thirsty during the night. She wanted to take care of us. Among the home's original furnishings was an antique wooden chair, which we kept against the back wall of the living room. Whenever we were preoccupied watching TV or playing a game, Mother would inch that chair forward, across the room towards us. Sometimes She managed to move it all the way to the center of the room. We always felt sad putting it back against the wall. Mother just wanted to be near us. Years later, long after we'd moved out, I found an old newspaper article about the farmhouse's original occupant, a widow. She'd murdered her 2 children by giving them each a cup of poisoned milk before bed. Then she hung herself. The article included a photo of the farmhouse's living room with a woman's body hanging from a beam. Beneath her, knocked over, was that old wooden chair placed exactly in the center of the room. That took a dark turn real quick. So I'd love to ask the author of the story, were you drank it, was it milk that you were drinking? I wouldn't drink that anymore. That is really creepy. Was that like her, was she an angry ghost that wanted to poison Betsy and her sister too? Or was she like trying to make up for the fact that she killed her kids in that house? I'd also not want to live there. So Betsy and her sister's parents, why would you, unless the realtor or anything didn't mention that it happened in the house. I don't know. But that's not creepy at all. And the chair really is a motif of the murders. That really is an important object. Damn. And that's like, I don't know. That's like the chair inching forward. I don't know. Maybe that's like signifying that they were getting, maybe she actually, was trying to poison them, and the chair getting closer every time was signifying they're getting more poisoned, and her rehanging herself. I don't know. But that is freaky. Yeah, and then after that it says, did it get colder in here, or is it just me? It sure as hell got colder in here. It sure as hell. Okay. Number 5. The Ghost at Home. In one of my favorite ghost stories, a man thinks that he loses his phone and someone is playing a trick on him. Turns out, there is someone playing with him. But it's a ghoul, rather than a person. Submitted via Reddit by BuzzFeed. Last night, a friend rushed me out of the house to catch the opening act at a local bar's music night. After a few drinks, I realized my phone wasn't in my pocket. I checked the table we were sitting at, the bar, the bathrooms, and after no luck, I used my friend's phone to call mine. After 2 rings, someone answered, gave out a low raspy giggle, and hung up. They didn't answer again. I eventually gave it up as a lost cause and headed home. I found my phone laying on my nightstand, right where I left it. I got goosebumps with that one. That is horrifying. That's like the scariest. I thought of 2 things when I read that part just now. The scary story to tell in the dark when it's the babysitter and the kids are downstairs and someone is calling and calling and calling. And then they call the operator. I'm getting chills. And they say, that person's in your house. And then he comes down the stairs and it's like a total freak. And I thought of the Twilight Zone episode, the original, and of the guy that calls his mother. I want to say, I need to rewatch the episode. I think he calls his mother and she doesn't know who he is, like he's lost his identity or something like that. I feel like everything is either based off of scary stories to tell in the dark. Not that that's really old. That's 90s. And the original Twilight Zone, which is older. But those were 5 ghost stories. Hopefully they gave you a little bit of a fright. Let me know if you guys want me to do more of those, or maybe like a longer one, like maybe one longer one, like a creepypasta or something like that. Because those, oh my god, creepypastas are a lot of fun. I've always wanted to narrate them. I wonder if I could narrate them and potentially monetize. I probably can't, because it's not my... Maybe I'll write my own creepypastas and narrate them. How about that? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys want. Let me know, ask me questions, give me suggestions. I am going to be back on Friday with Michelle, because Michelle will be back after... When was her last? I think her last episode was like over a week ago. So you guys have been on a Michelle drought, but she will be back with me because I am recording with her Later today, actually. Later today, but it's not going to air until Friday. And I think we're going to do missing people. Don't quote me on that. But you will find out tomorrow on our social media post. But until then, stay evil, stay eerie. Thank you for joining me, and have a great night.